going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy Boulanger. Up next on the GM, we're going to be having a conversation about three Pro Bowl level veterans that should be screaming, "Get me out of here." Do me a quick favor, hit like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's go. This is one of those fun topics, man, that I'm just going to play around with. Again, we're in that drop part of the season, and so we just kind of use a little bit of creativity, a little bit of just that inner thought that you have about guys who kind of will make your team better, guys who did change the scenery. And so these are guys that I really like as players, as people, and they really should be screaming, "Get me out of here," because of their current situation. Um, so let's start at the bottom. And this is a list of kind of priority, meaning get me out of here quickly. Number one, I'm going to go with Aaron Jones, running back from the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Jones is still a Pro Bowl level player. Um, he's a guy who has played alongside some of the best players in the league. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers, former teammate wide receiver Davante Adams. He has a really good backfield mate in Dylan. He's played behind at points in his career a good offensive line, and he's played with a fairly decent defense, meaning to kind of keep the game close, put the ball in the offense's hands, that kind of thing. And he's at a point right now in his career where he's 28 years old, which is getting long in the tooth for a running back. Okay. Aaron Jones should be screaming, "Get me out of here." Well, why? Well, number one, his longtime teammate, a guy who was with him from the very beginning, Aaron Rodgers, is now a New York Jet. All right. Aaron Jones still has a lot of football left, but he's going to waste it, unfortunately, in Green Bay. Green Bay is doing sort of a changing of the guards right now, where they're moving from Aaron Rodgers, which I'm sure they were glad to get rid of in some aspects, to Jordan Love, who we don't know much about. But Jordan Love essentially is going to be like a rookie, even though he's had some playing time, even though he's been, able to sit and watch behind one of the greatest to do it in Aaron Rodgers. He still only has enough playing time for like a full preseason. And so this is what a veteran like Aaron Jones is going to be subjected to. They've had some changing up front from left tackle to right tackle. I think they're going to have basically over the last couple of years, 4 of the 5 starters he's been accustomed to brand new. They have had tremendous changeover at the wide receiver position as well. And so he's just going to be in a brand new situation that I'm not sure a guy at 28 years old who should be ready to win for sure is going to really want to endure. The situation in Green Bay looks pretty dim uh, because even when you change over from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love, you're still changing over with an inexperienced wide receiving corps. And so Aaron Jones should be screaming, "Get me out of here." He is the type of player who could be a great fit for a lot of teams who are in contention. And I believe you see in some way, shape, or form, Aaron Jones moved between mid-season trade deadline and next offseason. He should be screaming, "Get me out of here." All right. Player number 2 is also a running back, a guy we know very well in Baltimore, a guy we know very well in the AFC, a guy that's known very well league wide. Because at one point he was considered the best back in the league for probably 4 to 5 years straight. And that's no other than the Tennessee Titans, Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is a running back who should be screaming, "Get me out of here." Um, Not sure what's going on in Tennessee. I'm not sure if they know necessarily what's going on in Tennessee. Okay. They brought Ryan Tannehill in 4-ish years ago to be the starting quarterback. He did have some success getting them to the playoffs, but I think a lot of that was on the workload of Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has been a consistent 1,000-yard rusher. He has gone over 2,000 yards, I think, 2 seasons ago. And he had, again, roughly 1,100 plus yards this past season. So he's still productive. But Derrick Henry is approaching 30 years old. Again, just like Aaron Jones, that is long in the tooth when you are considering a running back. It's a guy who's taken a lot of pounding, who's endured a lot of carries, and you kind of seen it take its toll because last year was probably the first year you really seen a lot of injuries happen for Derrick Henry. Still has some gas in the tank. In fact, Derrick Henry was a guy when rumors came out that Tennessee may be considering trading him. He's a guy I thought that the Baltimore Ravens should pursue. Yeah, I know we got running backs, but a backfield that consists of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson would be scary, right? So I was definitely campaigning for that. Um, Tennessee is, in a place where they're having some upheaval. Um, all of their wide receivers have had turnover. A couple of years back, they let Corey Davis walk, and he went to the Jets last draft. So a draft ago, they traded AJ Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles. And now at quarterback, they drafted Malik Willis last year in the third round. And then they turn around and draft Will Grier in the second round this year. So there's definitely some signaling that Ryan Tannehill is on his way out. In fact, his name had been rumored numerous times that they would trade him or release him. And so Derrick Henry's in a place, man, where it's not looking familiar. They've even let some of the defensive stalwarts move on as well. And so Derrick Henry at, almost 30 years old is in a rebuild situation. And that's a bad place to be when you have the pedigree and career statistics and workload and work ethic that Derrick Henry has had. And it's really sad to see. I think somebody may go after Derrick Henry, maybe at the trade deadline. I think Tennessee may give him some walking papers between trade deadline and um, next offseason if nobody comes to get him. Because I think that he deserves a shot to win at this point, and I think Tennessee is not that place at all. So Derrick Henry should be screaming, "Get me out of here!" Right? The number one guy I have on my list of players that should be screaming, "Get me out of here," is wide receiver from the Las Vegas Raiders, Davante Adams. Davante Adams, for about 5 years, maybe more like 4, was considered the best wide receiver in the game. He's big, physical, and has some speed. He can make all the catches, the contested catch. He can get open. He can get separation, and so he has all the attributes to still be a number one. I think he still is a number one because even with poor quarterback play last year, he still went for, if I remember correctly, for more than 1,200 yards. It may be closer to 1,500. I can't remember exactly, but he still had a real productive season, and I believe he had 100 catches, and so he still has it at 30 years old. But just like the other two guys on my list, 30 years old for wide receiver is getting up there in age. Okay. And he played with Aaron Rodgers where he found his groove in Green Bay, was super productive. They had some playoff success, but never got over the hump. And I'm not really sure what pushed him out of Green Bay. I'm not sure if it was just he wanted a contract extension and more pay, and the Raiders were willing to do that. I'm not sure if he became at odds with the organization, or if it just was a mutual split that the Raiders showed interest, Green Bay couldn't resist the offer for Davante, and so they made the move. Nevertheless, he became at that time one of the highest paid wide receivers in the game, averaging somewhere between 28 and $30 million per year. Now, is any wide receiver worth that? I would say no, but that's where his salary kind of fell. Um, Regardless of that, he landed in Las Vegas last year to play with his good friend Derek Carr, and that was a train wreck. It was really strange how that whole offense kind of fell apart. Now they did have you know the Russian leader in Jacobs. He played really well. Like I said, Davante Adams went for 1,000+ yards, and the offensive line improved a lot, but something just happened where that offense just never really got it together. He had some good supplementary parts around him. Darren Waller, who we know well, uh, was tight end. I think he used to be a top 5 tight end. I'm not sure if he still is, but he's still a really good player. Uh, I believe that slot is Winfro. I believe I may have his name wrong. Forgive me if I do, but he had some good pieces around him, and that offense just fell apart. But we've seen that from Josh McDaniels before when he got a head coaching job in Denver. He kind of fell on his face, and that's what Las Vegas did last year. And so now Vegas, released Derek Carr. And I'm not sure 100% what happened, right, in the Derek Carr situation, but he kind of fell out of favor with the Raiders organization, and they just kind of sat him, right, and let another person kind of take over. I can't even remember the guy's name at this point, but he just kind of fell out of favor, and they eventually released him, and so they go inside Jimmy G. They go inside Jimmy G. And we understand who Jimmy G is. He's good when he's good, he's bad when he's bad, and he's hurt when he's hurt. And and he's hurt. Jimmy G is still hurt. He had surgery somewhere around the middle of May, give or take, a week or two. And foot surgery, by the way, and a quarterback needs his platform, his foundation. And so if you got bad feet, you can't play quarterback. And so the Raiders are going to have a clause in his contract that they're able to get off of his contract if he does not recover from that foot surgery. But dadgum, think about a guy with the status and stature of a Davante Adams, who is a number one, still has a lot of gas in his tank. Think what he should be thinking. I go from Aaron Rodgers to my best friend or good friend, I might say Derek Carr, and that falls, right? That offense just falls. I thought it would be a step up. Matter of fact, the whole league thought it would be a step up, and that the AFC West would be very, very competitive. But the AFC West kind of fell apart. It just came down to Kansas City and the Chargers. We'll talk about all the conferences another time. And so we go from Derek Carr to Jimmy G. So you don't even improve necessarily in quarterback ability. You kind of go laterally. And the best thing about Derek Carr, at least he was on the field, Jimmy G is often hurt. And so Davante Adams should be screaming, "Get me out of here." I don't know if he can be traded. Anybody can be traded, but I don't know if anybody will trade for him with such a big salary, such a huge cap hit, such a huge monetary responsibility if you go and get him. And so it looks like he might be stuck, but he should definitely be screaming, "Get me out of here." So listen, those are my three, man. Aaron Jones, Derrick Henry, and Davante Adams. Let me know if there is a veteran that you guys think should be screaming, "Get me out of here." Listen, I appreciate you guys for hanging with me, man. I have a lot of fun doing this. Just getting back, man, to doing what we do, just conversation style takes, conversation style content, man. Appreciate you guys. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm your guy, Boulanger. This is the GM, and we're out.